Hill Women's Federation demands arrest of those responsible for recent continued violence against Juma women. Juma people were beaten, harassed, and threatened during the continuous patrolling operation of the army in Bilaituri. Initiative to set up a new BGB camp at the site of the old camp at Chitmaram in Kaptai. Solidarity gathering and mass procession was held in Rangpur demanding the implementation of the CST Accord. Business companies are violating the human rights of indigenous people in South Asia. U.S. State Department claims that indigenous Juma activists are subjected to atrocities of the army and intelligence agencies in CST. These were the news in last week. Now the details. Rangamati correspondent informed that the Hill Women's Federation has strongly condemned the ongoing killing and rape of indigenous Juma women in Chittagong Hill Tracts and demanded immediate arrest and proper trial of the perpetrators. In a press statement issued by the organization on March 18, it is mentioned that in a month from February 10 to March 11, 6 incidents of violence against indigenous Juma women and girls taken place in CST. Only an accused has been arrested in one of those incidents. The police have not yet arrested 8 persons involved in the remaining 5 incidents. Meanwhile, during the continuous patrolling operation of the army in Bilaituri Upazila for 3 days since March 17, allegations of beating, harassing, threatening, and searching the houses of the innocent Juma villagers have been reported. During this time, the army searched and harassed all the houses in a Pankwa village and a Marma village, detained a village committee president of the Parvati Chattogram Janashanghati Samiti, and beat up a religious minority shopkeeper. On March 17, a group of soldiers led by Twaisi Major Reza of Dopsil Army Camp in Bilaituri conducted a patrolling operation from Pangkwapara of Latapara to Salbagan area. On March 19, Army personnel beat up 6 villagers of Marma village in Latapara area without any crime. Meanwhile, an initiative has been taken to set up a new BGB camp at the site of the withdrawn camp at Chitmaram in Kaptai. Commanding officer of Waiga BGB Zone of Kaptai, Lieutenant Colonel Sabir Ahmed, visited the site in Chitmarampara of Kaptai on March 21st. The special correspondent of Hillboys TV reported that on March 20, Divisional Solidarity Gathering and Mass Procession was held in Rangpur under the initiative of CST Accord Implementation Movement, demanding for implementation of the CST Accord and building a collective gather movement for the implementation of the Accord. It is cited in the gathering that the government rightly signed the agreement but doesn't take initiative for implementation of the accord. Even after 25 years, the CST accord has not been implemented properly. Therefore, through gather struggle, the government must be compelled to implement the accord. Along with this, it was expressed in the rally that the strong movement will be continued for the constitutional recognition of the indigenous peoples of the hills and plains. Meanwhile, Falguni Tripura, Bangladesh Indigenous Women's Network, opined in the discussion on business and human rights of the 4th United Nations South Asia Forum held in Kathmandu, Nepal since March 20, that in recently the indigenous peoples of Bangladesh are being attacked by various business companies. Companies are freely violating the human rights of indigenous people. One of the most heinous example is the burning of Jumland and houses of Mro and Tripura communities in Sarai Union of Lama by Lama Rubber Company with an aim to occupy the land. She also mentioned that indigenous Saltal, Khashi, and Munda peoples are migrating silently from the plains due to insecurity and lack of protection of their human rights. The special correspondent of Hillboys TV also reported that the Juma people of the CST are constantly being subjected to atrocities by the army and intelligence agencies, says United States Department of State in its annual report entitled 2022 Country Reports on Human Rights Practices, Bangladesh. It is said in the chapter Indigenous Peoples of the report that was released on March 20 that despite the provision of self-government in the CST Accord in 1997, these conditions have not been fully implemented. As a result, the indigenous peoples and indigenous rights activists as well as indigenous political activists have repeatedly been subjected to alleged arbitrary arrest, torture, arbitrary deprivation of life, and enforced disappearance in CST. Moreover, almost every time a raid took place in CST area by the military personnel. Bureau Report, Hill Voice TV. Keep on watching Hill Voice TV for unreported human rights violations.